In this video, I will tell you why I choose Canon EOS M6 instead of M3, Sony a6000 or Sony a6300, or probably other cameras like DSLR. The first reason is it is small. Because I'm a videographer, I usually use a stabilizer. If I use this stabilizer, it means I have to put my camera on the top of the stabilizer, and because it is very light and small, I don't need any additional weight. But if I use DSLR cameras, I will need 2 more weights on the right, 2 more weights on the left. So it's gonna be burdening me. For the first 10 minutes, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be fine. But after 2 hours, it's gonna be very tiring. The second reason is there is no viewfinder in this camera. The only difference between the EOS M6 and M5 is only the viewfinder, which costs you around 2 million rupees or about 170 USD. Because I'm not a professional photographer and I prefer to see at the LCD screen instead of doing this, then I choose to not buy the M5. Third reason, if you buy M5, it means you cannot flip the camera like this, because the viewfinder will prevent you from flipping the LCD screen. Instead of flipping at the top, Canon EOS M5 will flip at the bottom of the camera. For your information, there are a lot famous YouTubers, especially Indonesian YouTubers, use Canon EOS M6. For example, like Raditya Dika, or even Reza Arab Octavian that use M3, which is previous version of Canon EOS M6. The next thing is this camera is capable to record 50 FPS at PAL and 60 FPS at NTSC. Unfortunately, 4K video is still not supported by this camera. The reason why I choose this camera because I don't need 4K videos. Because when editing 4K videos, it's gonna be very heavy for my computer. That's why I don't want to have a 4K footage. If you want 4K videos, then you can go for Sony a6300. However, the price is kind of like 50% more expensive than this camera. This camera costs kind of like 750 USD. Sony a6300 costs you about 1030 for body only, without any kit like this. Sony a6300 is available for Full HD with 120 frames per second, and this only 60 frames per second. But with the price cap around 500 USD or kind of like 6 million rupees, I think it's not worth it, so I don't buy it. Just take a look, a very simple example for this one. I have a GoPro for silver and GoPro for black. The silver one can record up to 50 frames per second in Full HD and 5 frames per second in 4K. And for the 4 black, it can record up to 120 FPS. For 4K, it can record up to 30 frames per second. But the gap of the price of both of them is just probably 500,000 rupees or around 35 US dollar. So if you choose GoPro Hero for black for FPS, then it is worth it because it's only have a little price gap. However, you will not have a touchscreen in GoPro Hero for black, but GoPro for silver has it. Next thing about this camera is this camera has 5-axis stabilization, which M3 doesn't have, Sony a6000 doesn't have, and if I'm not mistaken, Sony a6300 also doesn't have. If I use a camera stabilization which is built in my camera and I add it with my own Steadicam, that is gonna be good for a very steady footage even you are running. Next, this camera also has a microphone jack which allow you to add an external microphone which Sony a6000 doesn't have. This camera also can take 9 frames in 1 second. Sounds like. The next thing is this camera can take up to 295 photos, while the M3 only can take up to 250. It means that this camera has a better battery life. And the best part of this camera is the LCD is touchscreen. So I can easily change the setting without damaging the buttons. Every time you change the setting from those buttons, you're actually damaging the buttons. At the end of the day, the buttons will no longer comfortable for you and you have to bring it to service center anyway, just like my older cameras after 1 year. If I have to choose 3 points that I love the most from this camera, the first one will be the LCD screen. I can flip this and use it for my vlog. And also, usually I do my videos by myself, so I have to look at the LCD to do framing. So I didn't need one person to help me in taking videos. And the third thing is this camera has 5-axis stabilization, which make my video looks more steady. This camera also offers you a very interesting mode which allow you to change one depth of field to another by just simply touching the LCD screen. It is a good news for beginners because you don't need to deal with the focus, but just only simply touch the LCD screen. You need just to simply touch the object and the other object to simply has a very smooth transition between depth of field. Okay everyone, I hope this video can help you to decide which camera the best for you. And happy editing, happy life. See you next time. Oke, kadang mari syuting ini lagi. Enak ya mangan iki lho. Nah, gorengan. Oleh kadang ning Indonesia kan kudu nyoba iki lho. Nyobain jenenge iki lho. Gedang goreng. Yo, ketemu mana kapan-kapan ya?